The worker girl fell in love with the brick kiln owner. The true story of a poor worker girl and a rich owner. The life of a poor worker girl changed when she fell in love with a wealthy brick kiln owner. The contrast in their lifestyles, social barriers, and the tension within their relationship, this is the central theme of this story. A unique tale of love, struggle, and social reality. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Stay tuned for more inspiring content. One afternoon, when the sun was shining brightly in the sky, Sohini, dressed in a white sari with a long high scarf over her head, was coming to work with mud. Dust from the mud was flying off her body, but she was not at all bothered by it. There was a silent determination in her eyes, a relentless struggle within. The situation at home was very difficult. Her parents were ill, but she never gave up. Life would always throw obstacles in her way, but nothing could stop her from her struggle. In a nearby village lived a wealthy businessman named Krishna Chandra Mitra. His family was large and he was highly respected by everyone. He owned 5 brick kilns and had 3,400 bighas of land under cultivation. He held a powerful and prestigious position in the area. He also had a son named Animesh. Krishna Chandra Mitra had a lot of wealth and prestige, but he never paid attention to the common people. Animesh started taking care of his father's business. After completing his studies, he began working for a large company, but his heart was always yearning for something more. One day his father told him, "If you run this business honestly, one day you will become great." Animesh listened to his father and left his job to join the business. But his life took a turn when he met Sohini for the first time. One day as Animesh was walking around his brick kiln, he noticed a young woman working. She was mixing the mud, mashing it with her feet and spreading it in front of the wheel. Her hair was spread across her back, covered in dust, and beads so sweat were dripping from her face. But she paid no attention to it. She was fully focused on her work. The woman's name was Sohini. Animesh stared at her, but he thought it was probably just his own perspective, which would lead him to a simple and straightforward approach. For a moment, Animesh thought about how this girl was working so hard despite the struggles she had faced in her life. There was a relentless effort within her that didn't allow her to be weak. Animesh walked up to Sohini and asked, "You work so hard, but do you ever get the reward of your labor?" Sohini looked at him with slight surprise. "How did you know?" She smiled softly. "The reward of hard work comes to everyone, but for some, it comes a little late," she said. Hearing this, Animesh was even more surprised. There was a special respect in his eyes for Sohini. He thought, a girl so simple, who works so hard, could she have some hidden talent? One day, Sohini confided in Animesh about her family's situation. She said, "My parents are very ill. They need money for their treatment. I am the only earner in the family, but I cannot handle this on my own. I don't know how to solve this problem." Animesh, after thinking deeply, said, "If you wait a little, I can arrange something for you, but I have one condition." Sohini looked slightly irritated and asked, "Condition?" Animesh replied, "If you accept my help, you must agree to my proposal. I want to give you the opportunity to study. If you want to help your family, you must pursue education. I want to give you that opportunity, so you can do something bigger in the future. If you trust me, I can open a path for you." Sohini paused for a moment, conflicted, but given her parents' illness, she found no other way. She said, "I will accept your help, but how will I study? We have nothing." Animesh smiled and said, "If you desire, you have the strength within you. I will only guide you on the right path." From that moment, Sohini began preparing herself for a new path in life. On one hand, her family, and on the other hand, with Animesh's support, Sohini began working harder to move her life forward. Meanwhile, Krishna Chandra Mitra told his son Animesh, "If you want to help a girl like Sohini, then you are doing the right thing in life." After hearing this, Animesh realized that the work he was doing was not just for business, but it was also very important for society. This is how Sohini and Animesh's lives became intertwined. Sohini, who was worked with mud, now began to see new opportunities in her life. But this was just the beginning. Her life would take more turns, and with the invisible strength within herself and Animesh's support, she would move forward.
The relationship between Sohini and Animesh began to deepen gradually. At first, they only talked about work, but as time passed, their conversations became more personal. While Sohini was opening up about the struggles in her life, Animesh also began to share different aspects of his life with her. Animesh said, "I always feel a great responsibility towards my parents. Our business is huge, but I never thought that the goal of my life would only be to make money. I want to do something through my work that can bring real change in people's lives." Sohini smiled slightly and said, "You dream big. I believe you can follow your dreams. If you walk on the right path, the world will be compelled to give you something in return." Thus, their relationship continued to grow, but significant challenges began to emerge in their lives. Sohini's parents had become very ill, and the cost of their treatment had risen to a level that it was almost impossible for her to handle on her own. Sohini knew that she couldn't manage the situation with her own earnings. One day, she went to Krishna Chandra Mitra for help. Krishna Chandra Mitra looked at her, remained silent for a moment, and then said, "You know, I can help you, but for that, you have to agree to a condition. I want you to become more actively involved in our business. You know, my business has grown a lot, but I need a trustworthy partner. You could be that partner, but you need to be involved in the work." Sohini was a little surprised and said, "I don't know, sir, if joining the business would be the right thing for me." Krishna Chandra Mitra replied, "I know you are hardworking, and I understand that. I want you to help grow our business even more. With your talent and hard work, we can achieve great things together." Sohini hesitated for a moment, but thinking about her family's situation and her parents' illness, she decided to accept Krishna Chandra Mitra's offer. She decided that joining the business could be an opportunity for her, where she would not only earn money, but could also bring change to people's lives. From then on, Sohini started getting involved in Krishna Chandra Mitra's business. At first, she had some doubts because this new environment was unfamiliar to her. However, Sohini quickly found her place through her intellect and hard work. Krishna Chandra Mitra gave her various responsibilities, offering her the opportunity to prove her skills. Meanwhile, Animesh also started spending more time on his father's business. His attention was now fully focused on the business, but his interest in Sohini was growing. Every day, he would find reasons to go to her and spend more time with her. One day, Sohini said to him, "Do you know you are a very hardworking person? You are the one who can make our business bigger." Animesh smiled and said, "If we work together, this business won't just grow, but we can also do some good things for people." Sohini realized that Animesh wanted to collaborate with her, but she knew that if their relationship ever became public, it could create problems for them. Considering their social status and the business interests, Sohini wanted to proceed with great caution in this matter. Krishna Chandra Mitra was also very careful about their relationship. He knew that mixing business and personal relationships could create problems. However, during this time, Sohini and Animesh had started to understand each other better. They began giving each other advice, helping one another, and working together. Now the relationship between Sohini and Animesh was slowly becoming deeper. Sohini knew that Animesh could become an important figure in her life's commitment. However, she wanted their relationship to remain only at a professional level. She knew that, considering social norms and business interests, their relationship should never become public. One day, Sohini learned that there was an even bigger problem awaiting her family. Her parents needed a large sum of money for their treatment, and she knew that without Sitaram Gupta's help, it would not be possible to resolve this issue. She decided that she should go back to Sitaram Gupta for help, but this time she knew that her life was about to become even more complicated. One day, Sohini went to Krishna Chandra Mitra and said, "Sir, I need more money for my family's treatment. I know you've already helped a lot, but I need some more help this time." Krishna Chandra Mitra looked at her and said, "You're asking for help again? I've already given you so much. But if you want my help, this time you'll have to agree to even more conditions." Now, Sohini realized that the most important decision of her life was about to come. Would she fall into even bigger trouble? Would the conditions set by Sitaram Gupta make her life even more difficult? At that moment, Sohini knew that this decision could change her entire life.
A new chapter was about to begin in the lives of Sohini and Animesh. On one hand, there was the pressure of the business, and on the other, Sohini needed help for her family. The medical expenses for Sohini's parents had escalated to such an extent that it had become nearly impossible for her to manage on her own. Sohini knew that if she asked for help from Sitaram Gupta, she would have to accept even more difficult terms. But the only way to save her family was to ask him for help. One evening, Sohini went to Krishna Chandra Mitra, her eyes filled with anxiety and concern. "Sir, I know you've helped me a lot already, but I need more assistance for my parents' treatment. I know you'll help me, but I also know that in exchange for this help, I will have to do something more." Krishna Chandra Mitra looked at her for a moment, silently. Then he spoke. "You know, I can help you. But for that, you have to agree to some conditions. I want you to be more actively involved in our business. You know, my business has grown significantly, but I need a trustworthy partner. You can be that partner, but you must stay involved in the work of the business. Sohini remained silent for a while, with some hesitation in her mind. But sir, I don't know much about the business. I have no experience. How will I manage this? Krishna Chandra Mitra replied, your experience will grow over time. If you are hardworking, I believe you can learn a lot. You have a unique talent that I've noticed. I want to make you a partner in my business. If you're ready, I'm prepared to do everything for you. Sohini was silent for a moment and then said, I trust you, sir, but I want you to know that I'm not looking for any special favors. My only goal is to make my family well again. Krishna Chandra Mitra smiled and said, your family will be fine. Don't worry, I will make all the arrangements. But I hope you will help us in the business. If you are ready, I will take care of everything for you. Sohini lowered her head and said, I agree, sir. From then on, Sohini began to take more firm steps toward her new life. Initially, she had to learn many new things, but she quickly started focusing on her work. Animesh also continued to help her, but Sohini knew that some distance had formed in their relationship. Though they were working together, Sohini felt that their relationship would never be entirely normal. Meanwhile, Animesh spent more time discussing the business with his father. Krishna Chandra Mitra could sense that Animesh was feeling uncomfortable and conflicted. One day, he called Animesh and asked, are you thinking about something? Why do you look so troubled? Animesh looked at his father and said, Dad, I know you want to grow the business, but I'm having some problems with Sohini. She's working with me, but I know she doesn't fully trust me. I understand her feelings, but how do I make her understand? Krishna Chandra Mitra listened to his son for a while and then said, if you want to make her understand properly, you need to respect her wishes. Sohini is a talented and hardworking girl, but she knows that she has to stay committed to her work. Give her time, help her understand, but don't pressure her. Meanwhile, Sohini had completely immersed herself in her work. After joining Krishna Chandra Mitra's business, she was learning a lot. However, on one side she had her family to take care of, and on the other, she had her dreams. She knew that she would have to make some tough decisions, but she didn't want to make any wrong decisions when it came to her personal life and relationships. One day, as Sohini was working in her office, she suddenly noticed Animesh walking towards her. She was a little surprised and asked, what are you doing here? Animesh, slightly nervous, replied, I was actually thinking, you haven't spent much time with me lately. Could we spend some time together? Sohini felt a bit uncomfortable, but replied, we have a lot of work to do, Animesh. I want you to finish everything one by one, and then we can spend some time together. But right now, this time is very important for me. Animesh became quiet for a moment, but his eyes showed a deep feeling. He knew that Sohini was doing a lot for him, but he wasn't sure how to express that he wanted Sohini to become a part of his life. On the other hand, Sohini was reflecting on her new life. She knew she had deep feelings within her, feelings she didn't fully understand. There was an invisible attraction in her heart for Animesh, but she didn't know how to handle it. Thus, the relationship between Sohini and Animesh began to grow more complex. There was something between them that was about to change. However, there was some uncertainty about how this change would impact their lives.
A new chapter was about to begin in the lives of Sohini and Animesh. Sohini was in a strange internal conflict. She knew that many changes were coming into her life, but there was no certainty about what her future would look like. Business, family, and relationships, these three things were equally prioritized in her life. Sometimes it seemed impossible to handle them all at once. However, the depth of her relationship with Animesh was increasing. She realized that Animesh had started seeing her not just as a colleague, but as a life partner. Sohini knew that if she made a decision about this relationship, it would bring a significant change in her life. But was she ready for such a change? She did not know herself. One day, Sohini and Animesh were at work. They had a major contract at hand, and if they completed it successfully, their business would advance significantly. Despite the pressure of the work, there was some unspoken tension between them. Animesh had been easing Sohini's tasks with his empathy and support, but Sohini couldn't quite understand his intentions.
She knew that Animesh was giving her special attention, but she wasn't sure how to interpret that attention. One day during a break at work, Sohini took some time and said to Animesh, "You know, this work is very important for us, but I am worried about how our personal lives are being affected. If I can manage both the business and my family, I can achieve so much. But sometimes I feel that it's not possible to do everything at once." Animesh looked at her for a while and said, "I know, Sohini. I understand how you're handling everything one step at a time. I know you want to do a lot for your family, but if you want to see me by your side in a more open way, I'll always be there for you." Sohini, a little surprised, replied, "Do you understand this? I know our relationship has gone beyond just professional. But what if there's a misunderstanding between us? What if there's a problem in our relationship or with the work we do?" Animesh remained silent for a while, then said, "Sohini, I know there's some discomfort between us, but I believe we can support each other. Our relationship is not just a partnership, it's something that will strengthen both of us. I know you want me by your side, but I just want you to trust me and trust in us." Sohini was silent for a while and then said, "Trust? I know that trust is the foundation of any relationship, but sometimes I'm afraid to trust. This fear sometimes creates anxiety within me. I know you're doing so much for me, but what will happen if I can't do things right?" Animesh comforted her, saying, "There's nothing to be afraid of. Trust and respect are the foundation. If they are strong, everything will fall into place. You know I am here for you. Our relationship is not just about business, it's also about mutual respect and support." Sohini thought deeply for a moment and said, "All right, Animesh, I will try. I know our relationship has become a bit complicated, but if we understand each other, everything will be fine." Meanwhile, Sitaram Gupta was looking to bring more changes in his business. He knew that if his business was to grow further, he would have to make some tough decisions. Sohini had sat with him several times to discuss business plans. Sitaram Gupta saw a great potential in Sohini and was thinking of giving her more responsibility. But since Sohini was now involved in the business, her perspective had started to change. She was realizing that balancing business and personal relationships had become the most important thing for her. One day Sitaram Gupta told her, "Sohini, I know you're doing great work, but I need you to take on more responsibility. Your involvement in the larger business plans is necessary. We're planning to introduce something new in the market, and your skills will be vital. If you're willing, you need to be part of this project." Sohini remained silent for a while and then said, "Sir, I know this will be a big challenge for me, but I'm ready. I want to do something not just for the business, but also to bring some good changes in people's lives." Sitaram Gupta smiled and said, "I know you can do it. You're very talented. And through this project, you'll be able to do something not just for yourself, but for everyone." However, Sohini still had some doubts in her mind. She wasn't sure where this responsibility would take her personal life, but she was ready for the challenge. Sohini knew that she had to do a lot for her family and herself. The medical expenses for her parents, the responsibility of the business, and the relationship, it was all a tough test for her. Animesh also realized that Sohini was juggling many things. He was trying to stand by her and help, but sometimes Sohini seemed to distance herself. One day as Sohini was sitting alone in her office, Animesh came to see her and said, "Sohini, how are you doing? I know you're handling a lot, but if you feel anything, just tell me. I'm here for you." Animesh, with a little regret in his eyes, replied, "Animesh, I know you're by my side, but sometimes I feel like I'm not able to manage everything. But I will try to make sure everything goes well." Animesh sat next to her and said, "I know you can do it, Sohini. You have the strength to achieve a lot. Just believe in yourself. Together we can do everything." Sohini became a little calmer and said, "Yes, I'll try. I know our relationship has become a bit complicated, but if we understand each other, everything will be fine." And so the relationship between Sohini and Animesh continued to grow stronger. They began supporting each other and making significant changes in their lives. After joining the business, Sohini became more responsible, but she still had some questions in her mind. However, she knew that one day she would be able to handle everything well and take care of her family too.